Good afternoon. By the authority given in the statutes of the Open University, I now declare this congregation open for the conferment of degrees and the presentation of graduates. Distinguished guests, graduates, and friends of the university, it is my privilege and pleasure to welcome you all here today to this 29th of the Open University's degree ceremonies being held in 2015. And let me start by saying that we are delighted to have Lord Haskins, Professor Tim Blackman, and Miss Madison Bean here who've found the time in their very busy diaries to join us today. It's also my very great pleasure to welcome our fellow-elect, Mr. Martin Bean, and our honorary graduate, Sir Harold Evans. We are absolutely delighted to be able to honour them here today. Each year, the Open University awards over 14,000 degrees, and throughout 2015, more than 8,000 of the graduates are being presented for their qualifications at degree ceremonies such as this in Manchester. These are being held in 10 different towns and cities throughout England, and also in Belfast, Cardiff, Edinburgh and Dublin. I think this illustrates the extraordinary scale, scope and reach of the Open University. It goes without saying that today is a very important occasion in the life of you, our graduates, your families and loved ones, as well as the university staff who I hope you feel have really nurtured and supported you. You could be forgiven for feeling that the occasion is so important that it needs to be very solemn. But there you'd be quite wrong. In every sense, this is a day of celebration. So we're all going to be very, very disappointed if anyone crosses this stage this afternoon to anything other than thunderous applause, or whatever other way they choose to express their enthusiasm and support. Now, with that in mind, why don't all of today's graduates briefly stand? And friends, family, and Open University staff, let's start today's ceremony by giving all our amazing graduates a really huge round of applause. Please stand. Now there's one more way that you can show your appreciation to your graduate, and that is you can post messages or photos on social media with the hashtag OU_ceremonies, and our social media team will gather a selection of those messages, and you should see them displayed if the technology works on the screen behind you. And of course, those messages will be shared with the outside world. So today's ceremony will begin with a presentation of graduates who've gained higher degrees and who've been able to attend here today. And they're going to be presented by Mrs. Helen Vesti, Assistant Director, Student Services. And following this, we will see the award of Fellow of the University to Mr. Martin Bean. Mr. Fraser Woodburn, Director of External Education and formerly University Secretary, will present Mr. Bean, who will sign the Fellows book and then make a reply. And I want at this stage just to say something. This is Fraser's last degree ceremony. He's been a completely outstanding University Secretary and has led the University Secretary's role for 17 years and has given 39 years to the University Secretary. He is a bit of a legend in the university world, and I actually wanted us just to give him a little round of applause to thank him for We will then see the presentation of those graduates who've gained Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Engineering and Bachelor of Law degrees and who've been able to attend. And next, we will be awarding an honorary degree of Doctor of the University to Sir Harold Evans. And Mr. Lucian Hudson, Director of Communications, will present Sir Harold, who will then sign the Honorary Graduates Book and make a reply. We will then continue our presentation of graduates with those who've gained Bachelor of Science degrees, foundation degrees, diplomas and professional graduate certificates, and who have also been able to attend here today. And then to conclude the ceremony, I will give a personal address. So I'd like to call upon Ms. Hurwitz. Thank you.
Pro-Chancellor, I shall now present graduates who have gained higher degrees and have been able to attend here today. For the degree of Master of Arts in Childhood and Youth, I present Anthony Castle. Master of Arts in English with distinction, I present Anthony Corrigan. For the degree of Master of Arts in English, I present Claire Cavalier-Smith. For the degree of Master of Arts in History with distinction, I present Patrick Burke. For the degree of Master of Arts in History, I present David Jones. For the degree of Master of Business Administration, I present Matt Baker. Alan Bowker. Scott Cherry. Paul Harper. Helen Power. Ian Smith. For the degree of Master of Education and Bachelor of Science with Honours, I present Caroline Brandt. For the degree of Master of Education, I present Anne Shaw. For the degree of Master of Science in Advanced Networking, I present Mark Wood. For For the degree of Master of Science in Advancing Healthcare Practice with Distinction, I present Andrea McLaren. For the degree of Master of Science in Computing for Commerce and Industry, I present Teresa Sharp. For the degree of Master of Science in Psychology, I present Kelly Greenwood. For the degree of Master of Science in Software Development, I present Stephen Mallet. For the degree in Postgraduate Certificate in Education and Bachelor of Science with Honours, I present Ishra Hafiz. And for the degree in Postgraduate Certificate in Education, I present Sarah Shepherd.
Pro-Chancellor, colleagues, graduates and guests. Today we are honouring Martin Bean, who was our Vice-Chancellor from 2009 to 2014. He led the Open University through perhaps the most turbulent period in our history. He ensured that we adapted and thrived despite the recession, radical changes in England's higher education system, and increasing divergence across the 4 nations of the UK. He brought visionary leadership and an ability to manage change honed through his experience in other organisations. Martin, as you will see, has phenomenal presence and energy. He is an inspirational speaker with an ability to command attention and to influence on the large and small stage. But he also has a quality all too rare in senior leaders, the ability to listen and to allow others to shape ideas. Born and raised in Australia, Martin has an interest in many sports, but cricket is his passion. If England was doing well against Australia, you really had to tread quite carefully. Those were good days to be a Scot, able to commiserate with my Vice-Chancellor. After graduating from Sydney's University of Technology, Martin embarked on a varied international commercial career. He was first Australian and then international president of ISEC. Founded in 1948, it is the largest student-run organisation in the world. Martin's presidency was an early indicator of the tremendous talent that has been apparent throughout his career. ISEC is a French acronym. Shall I tell you what it means? Let's see if I can pronounce it. L'Association Internationale des Étudiants en Sciences Économiques et Commerciales. You can see why they call it ISEC. He was a senior manager at a series of companies specialising in education and technology before becoming general manager for worldwide education at Microsoft, developing tools and solutions for teaching and learning. In that role, he worked with the federal government in the US to foster the use of technology in schools. The Open University was founded in an era that celebrated the white heat of technology. Remember that phrase. He has been a pioneer in using new technologies to make higher education relevant and accessible. Martin's leadership has taken this mission into the digital age. He ensured the development of tools that may have become part of your daily lives. For example, the OU Anywhere app, giving students access to all their course materials on their phones and tablets, or the Open STEM laboratory, which enables students to conduct experiments at a distance. Martin launched FutureLearn, making us a pioneer in the provision of massive open online courses, MOOCs. FutureLearn now has more than 70 partners, including leading and UK and international universities, the British Council, the British Library and the British Museum. FutureLearn was not the first MOOC provider in the world, but drawing on the OU's experience of flexible and inspiring learning, it provides the best student experience. 2.5 million students have taken advantage of its high-quality free courses. Innovations pioneered in FutureLearn are in turn transforming the OU's approach to distance learning. The Open University has always played a part in building capability in developing countries. Martin's special contribution was to strengthen the management of these programs so that they became scalable. Through transformative programs such as English in Action in Bangladesh and teacher education in Africa and India, the OU has reached thousands of teachers and millions of students. Martin also played a role in shaping national policy in higher education, particularly in advancing digital learning and ensuring that part-time had a voice. He was one of the Prime Minister's business ambassadors promoting higher education overseas, and he was awarded a CBE for his services to higher education in 2015. He has a passion for the Open University, and leaving was a difficult decision. He has returned to his homeland to become president of the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology. The part of the job here that he loved best and which inspired him most was presiding at ceremonies such as this one, celebrating the success of graduates like you. Pro-Chancellor, by the authority of Senate, I present to you for the Honorary Award of the Fellowship of the University, Martin Bean.
Pro-Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, Sir Harry, Lord Haskins, Vice-Chancellor Blackman, my dear friend and colleague, Mr. Fraser Woodburn, University Secretary, colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen, my daughter Madison, and of course all of our graduates here today. Being Vice-Chancellor of the Open University was a transformative experience for me, just as I'm sure it has been for so many of you. And I just want to say thank you, graduates. Thank you for allowing me to share your day. This is your day, and I'm so incredibly honoured to be here with you. You know, when I was thinking about my remarks today, my decision as to what I wanted to share with all of you was actually surprisingly easy. I knew I wanted to focus on the tyranny of conventional wisdom, something that I've actually had fun challenging my entire life. You know, Michael Dobbs coined the phrase, the tyranny of conventional wisdom, and you see it in all walks of life. It's sort of a combination of assumption, inertia, skepticism, and a fear of change. And it creates a toxic mix which hampers creativity, stifles innovation, and holds back progress. One of the deadliest phrases in the English language is, because that's the way we've always done it. It's kind of like an adult version of because I said so. Those dreaded words we've all heard as children and swore, mostly unsuccessfully, that we'd never use as parents. And it closes down debate just as effectively and with just as much frustration. By contrast, the strongest and most inspiring sentences begin, "I wonder what would happen if." When people aren't afraid to challenge conventional wisdom, that's when the magic happens. It's that sort of creativity that literally took man to the moon. If conventional wisdom had been allowed to prevail, Neil Armstrong might never have taken that small step for man. Throughout much of the Apollo 11 design process, the lunar lander featured a pair of large, comfy seats for the two-man crew. Now, flying machines had always had seats, and the designers assumed they always would. Unfortunately, the seats were so heavy that weight savings had to be found elsewhere. Now, that led to a sort of a surreal process, ladies and gentlemen, in which the ladder was removed and it was replaced instead with a knotted rope that astronauts could use to haul themselves down to and from the lunar surface. Fortunately, two relatively junior engineers named George Franklin and Louis Richard were willing to stand up to conventional wisdom, pointing out that for a short, low-gravity flight, there was actually no need for seats at all. The pilots could simply stand flying up. Now, it took a while to convince the powers that be, but in the end, the seats were removed and they took with them a huge amount of weight, leaving enough space capacity for that previously troublesome ladder. The rest, as they say, ladies and gentlemen, is history. The Eagle landed, the knotted rope was left at home, and Armstrong was spared the indignity of taking one small dangle for man and one giant swing for mankind. The OU is not like other universities, and you are not like other graduates. You know it, I know it, everyone on this stage knows it, and your friends and family know it here today too. The OU is an institution created to challenge conventional wisdom, to challenge a one-size-fits-all approach to education, and you all are proof positive that it has produced remarkable results. From here I can look out at a sea of faces, no two exactly alike. You're all individuals, you're all unique, you're all different. But from today until forever, you have one thing in common. You can proudly call yourself a graduate of the Open University. When you first announced that you were going to study with the OU, how many people said you wouldn't be able to get the qualification that you've just earned? And when the work got tough and the deadlines stacked up, how many of you questioned whether you could carry on? But here's the thing, you did. You carried on, you proved the cynics wrong, and today you get your reward. And if you can do that, graduates, there really is no limit to what you can achieve in the future. By sitting here today, you've already achieved something remarkable. You've proved to the world that you had the courage to challenge the tyranny of conventional wisdom. The American naval officer John Richardson once said, "When it comes to the future, there are three kinds of people. Those who let it happen, those who make it happen, and then those who wonder what happened." Graduates, be the kind of people who make it happen. To continue to stand up to the tyranny of conventional wisdom, your friends, your family, your community are depending on you. Thank you again for allowing me to share your day. Thank you again, Open University, for this wonderful award. I will cherish it forever.
Pro-Chancellor, I shall now present graduates who have gained Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Engineering and Bachelor of Laws degrees and have been able to attend here today. I present to you for the degree of Bachelor of Arts with First Class Honours, Paul Akhtar. Carolina Bailey-Hughes. John Bell. Sydney Berger. Linda Coles. Matthew Comerford. Barry Daniels. Eleanor Dobrina. Sheena Ford. Amelia Fox-Smith. Nicholas James Grenier. Michael Hartley. Thomasin Hazelden. Deborah Heaton. Jane Jackson. Jonathan Looney. Audrey Linden. Kerry McGiveron. Sylvia Mullin. Ian Niven. Nicholas Poland. David Potts. Katie Rothfelder. Jan Robinson. Robert Shaughnessy. Rachel Tataki. Stacey Thomas. Kerry Thompson. Catherine Tomlinson. David West. Julia Wicks. Bob Williams. For a degree of Bachelor of Arts with Honours, I present Lisa Akrivos. Nancy Bibiana Aristotabal. Asia Ayub. Michael Bailey. Fiona Barker. Baker. Linda Bamford. Faith Bannister. Barbara Bentley. Jennifer Best. Rhiannon Birch. Susie Bowell. Stephen Brooks. Dawn Burnell. Linda Burton. Michelle Byrne. Jeanette Campion. Michaela Callaran. Jane Carson. Julia Cartwright. Crystal Sharnock. Debbie Chatfield. Rizana Chowdhury. Iris Clark. Christopher Cook. Paul Copeland. David Crossland. Philippa Donetto. Sharon Davies. Linda Dawson. Melissa Dawson. Susan Day. Zadok Day. Amy Derbyshire. Claire Duicker. Joanna Dunnington. David Ellard. Christine Elliott. Janine Ellis. Sharon Evans. Tracy Everson. Alexander Farr. Helen Ferguson. Justine Forrest. Maggie Freeman. Nicholas George. Anna Goodlad. Anna Gray. Wendy Greenhalgh. Susan Gregan. Carly Gurney. John Harrison. Rebecca Hayton. Angela Hinchcliffe. Ashley Howe. Zoe Jackson. David Jones. Kate Jones. Philomena Kern. Stephen Kehoe. Margaret Keneally. Manisha Khan. Stephen Lowndes. Jennifer McRae. Janet McDonough. Christian McLaughlin. Peter Mealy. Katie Murphy. Bill Nash. Kelly Naylor. Louise Norcliffe. Rosemary O'Shea. Jeanette Parkinson. Edward Penny. Lindsay Philbin. Jane Phillips. Helen Price. Catherine Redshaw. Alexander Regis. Vicky Revel. Lynn Reynolds. Harold Robinson. Neil Robinson. Sandra Rose. Christina Roxburgh. Helen Ruan. Lynn Rudd. Daniel Ryan. Adrian Salomon. Jennifer Scott. Penelope Smurthwaite. Marta Zobtak. Nicholas Speck. Carmen Spiesberger. Gareth Swire. Joanne Stiebel. Robert Stewart. Graham Sutton. Ghazala Tabassum. Louise Thornton. Katie Thorpe. Katie Todd. Dean Tour. Maretia Tetsbova. Amy Tilsley Ashworth. Victoria Walker. Dominic Watts. Susie Wells. Julie Welsh. Jane Williams. Leanne Wilson. Patrick Wolstenholme. Agnes Woods. Jonathan Wright. Emma Wrigley. Young. For a degree of Bachelor of Arts, I present Jean Bell. Rebecca Bradley. Hannah Connick. Janice Crossley. Elizabeth Davies. Aisha Majid. Pamela McKee. Mark Walton. Amanda Wilson. For a degree of Bachelor of Engineering with First Class Honours, I present Michael Owen. For a degree of Bachelor of Engineering with Honours, I present Darren Hicken. For a degree of Bachelor of Laws with First Class Honours, I present Ian King. Fiona Roberts. Louise Roberts. And for a degree of Bachelor of Laws with Honours, I present Sophia Ahmad. Friday Ajui. James Inman. Margarita Pankovic. Jennifer Robinson. Michael Rogers. Richard Turnbull. And Hayley Williams.
Pro-Chancellor, colleagues, graduates, guests. Sir Harold Evans has been one of the most significant journalists of our times. Known to his friends and colleagues as Sir Harry, as editor of the Sunday Times for 14 years, he pioneered national investigative journalism in Britain, epitomised by the campaign to win justice for the victims of the thalidomide scandal, and he persists today. Recently, for Reuters and The Guardian, he wrote blockbuster reports, one on how the German thalidomide trial was corrupted, the other on how Rupert Murdoch and Mrs. Thatcher conspired to get round the monopolies law to give Murdoch control of Times newspapers. Born in Eccles and raised in Manchester, at the age of 16, Harry began working for the Reporter in Ashton-under-Lyne. After national service in the Air Force, he studied politics and economics at Durham University before returning to journalism to work on the Manchester Evening News. A Harkness Fellowship to Chicago and Stanford universities enabled Harry also to travel widely for nearly 2 years, notably in the Deep South at the birth of the Civil Rights Movement. Nationally, he saw how city and regional newspapers prided themselves on investigative and campaigning journalism of a scale and ambition at that time unknown in Britain. When appointed editor of the Northern Echo, he adopted the very best of this approach. He investigated how early tests to detect cervical cancer could save thousands of lives and persisted long enough to get the government to begin a regional and then a national programme. Appointed to run the Sunday Times in 1967, Harry brought together some of the most talented writers and photographers in the famous Insight team. Some will be well known to my generation: Marjorie Wallace and Philip Knightley, campaigners and journalists of the highest calibre. Their efforts to get to the bottom of the thalidomide tragedy, a scandal that killed 100,000 babies worldwide, was a shining example of what journalism, good journalism, can achieve. It took more than a decade of legal battles, but the team won compensation for the victims and exposed how the British law of contempt had for years suppressed the truth that the drug had never been properly tested and was fraudulently marketed as safe in pregnancy. He then went on to challenge the British law of contempt and won a free speech victory in the European Court of Human Rights, freeing all the British press from an over-restrictive law. In the days before social media, Harry's team informed hundreds of families of rights they didn't know they had. Under Harry's leadership, the Sunday Times successfully took on the establishment many times. The Insight team challenged the secrecy that had protected Kim Philby, the most important Soviet spy. Published in the Crossman Diaries, which uncovered the inner workings of Whitehall and revealed the government's abuses of the honours system. Unfortunately, in the late 70s, guerrilla warfare by inter-union rivalries in the press room lost the Sunday Times millions of copies, including the first thalidomide revelations, and the Thomson family sold to Rupert Murdoch. He appointed Harry editor of the Times with guarantees of independence. These were not fulfilled. A year later, Harry resigned, citing pressure to withhold criticism of some of the policies of Margaret Thatcher. His book, Good Times, Bad Times, shows how he took on Rupert Murdoch and has been described as, quote, the best non-fiction book ever written about journalism, unquote. Moving to the United States, Harry editorially directed US News and World Report, The Atlantic Monthly, and the New York Daily News. In 1986, he founded Condé Nast Traveler under the banner Truth and Travel. Its success led to his becoming president of Random House from 1990 to 1997. He continues to contribute to The Guardian and the BBC and moderates public debates with leaders as editor-at-large of Thomson Reuters, most recently with Secretary of State John Kerry on the Iran nuclear deal. His best-selling and critically acclaimed books include two histories of the United States, The American Century and They Made America, a study of innovation. His memoir is My Paper Chase. I'm especially pleased to present Harry for this honorary doctorate because he's been such a defining influence in my own career. was interesting to find out in conversation with our Vice-Chancellor, Peter Horrocks, that Peter as well, also a former journalist as I am, was inspired by Sir Harry, particularly his craft skills in advancing photojournalism. Harry was the reason I became a journalist in the first place, and had the honour of joining Harry and his investigative journalists at the 50th anniversary celebrations of the thalidomide campaign. I'm only one example of the many journalists working today who has been inspired by Harry. His influence shaped the outlook of an entire generation. Harry has worked with integrity, tenacity, and grace throughout his career to protect the freedom of the press, to uphold the highest standards of journalism, to uncover injustice and search out truth. These qualities I have valued in my own career. Harry was knighted in 2004 for services to journalism, and I am delighted that we're adding our own tribute here today to his unparalleled contribution to British and international journalism. Pro-Chancellor, by the authority of the Senate, I present to you for the honorary degree of Doctor of the University, Sir Harold Evans.
I got quite worried in the course of that over fulsome, if I might say so. I should have subbed it down a bit, but he didn't let me get at it. I should be quite worried when he was talking about some of the criticisms I made of government. I expect I'll get arrested now that he's made all this broadcast information that I'm in Manchester. I flew the Atlantic to escape some things there, and I land here, and here he is advertising that I'm a troublesome kind of fellow. Well, I'm not. I'm very mild, actually, but I had a wonderful team. And what I want to start off straight away, is what an inspiring occasion this is for me to speak to you. All those beautiful people getting their degrees. And that baby, where's that baby? I wanted to hear that baby and made sure that the mother and father, I don't know whether, I'm talking about it if she's a she. She may have the misfortune to be a he. Because women make the modern world much more than they used to do. Because she ought to be enrolled in the Open University now, Chancellor. And that would be a very good thing. Let me tell you why I find this ceremony particularly moving. My mother and father, my mother left school at 12, my father left school at 11. We're going back now into the early part of the 20th century. My father happened to be a brilliant mathematician. He ended up, honourably, I'm very proud of him, driving trains between Manchester and London and Crewe and so on. Anybody here from Failsworth, by the way? I suppose not. But anyway, so that was, and my mother at 12, leaving school at 12, chopped wood for a long time. Neither of them had any chance of the kind of education that you've had. Not at all. And think of the multiples of talented people who in that time were neglected. They didn't complain. They assumed it was the natural order of things, that education was for the upper class. And I don't want to sound class-bound here, but it was a fact, because those of you who've read history in your prodigious efforts to get your degrees today will remember the Geddes Act, A-X-E. And Geddes reported back in the 20s that it was a waste of time giving secondary education to the working classes because they didn't have the brains to benefit by it. Isn't it quite amazing what's happened in those years since? And isn't it wonderful that you here today celebrating what must have been tremendous hard work? I remember when I was I left school at 15. I happened to learn shorthand and typing. And when I came out of the Royal Air Force, I'd done a correspondence course, which I imagine may be something similar to what many of you have done. I'll never forget how astounded I was that I couldn't answer the question. The first question of the correspondence course, I see it vividly today. Explain why 10 pounds of bread are worth less than 1 pound of diamonds. Anybody got an answer? I've waited all the years for an answer. I still don't really know. I mean, I may have a few degrees, but there are a few things I don't know. And so coming out of that background and knowing, and I worked very hard too, but that I also, when I came out of university, I was very privileged. And here's the point I'd like to say to the faculty. I was very privileged to be able to go among coal miners as a workers' education teacher. And the curious thing was, and I'll never forget it, I was talking about politics in the interwar years. I was talking about communism. I was talking about Keynes. I was talking about economics. I learned more from them than they learned from me, because they'd lived through those years. They'd known what it was like when the Mosleyites were walking, shouting, "Kill the Jews," through Manchester. They knew what it was like when they were starving because of the economic circumstances. So they informed me with a vision of what life was like then. And the thing which impresses me today about you and the wonderful people up there, somewhere in the gods, you're great, I can tell you. What impresses me and what's so heartening today, thanks to the Open University, which didn't exist. I didn't have that chance that you had, that you've seized, the Open University. Not my mother and father, my brothers, none of them had the chance that you've got. The point, though, is this. You've not only enriched your own lives, enhanced your own careers, you're going to enrich the whole civilization. Congratulations.
Pro-Chancellor, continuing the presentation of graduates, I shall now present those who have gained Bachelor of Science degrees, Foundation degrees, Diplomas and Professional Graduate Certificates in Education and have been able to attend here today. The full subject and classification details are printed in the Directory of Graduates. For a degree of Bachelor of Science with First Class Honours, I present Ruth Bardell. Peter Carolan. Susan Cross. Joseph Cryan. Claire Donaldson. Jonathan Ellis. Matthew Hatch. Zoe Heathcote. Sybil Lehman. Tony Lynn. Nicole Renihan. Deborah Robinson. Victoria Sale. Nicola Seagrott. James Stanio Page. Adele Taft. Electra Vivenkos. For a degree of Bachelor of Science with Honours, I present Samantha Allen. Joanne Atwell. Nazreen Bapu. Janet Barnsley. Melissa Barron. Stephen Bates. Stanislava Bevan. Natasha Blackburn. Chris Bottomley. Tracy Boys. Carol Bruce. Andrew Burns. Tracy Carr. Michael Chambers. Marina Chatariva. Holly Clark. Helen Coates. Jane Coke. Melanie Cross. Sebastian Curry. Alexandra Davenport. Lynn Dobson. Glenn Driver. Michelle Drewey-House. Kathleen Edwards. Paul Ellis. Lynn Ferguson. Vivian Ferguson. Sue Frost. Michelle Goodwin. Martin Harpham. Lana Hartley. Simon Hemsworth. Angela Hicks. Paula Huber. Claire Hunter. Yasmin Ilahi. Melanie Insall. Georgina Jackson. Marie Johnston. Amanda Jones. Edward Jones. Hazel Jones. Rachel Sweeney. Rebecca Lambert. Louisa Lowther. Carolina Mancipi Concha. David Matthews. John McCarthy. Anna Miller. Ian Moffat. Leanna Jane Moorcroft. Sarah Morgan. Andrew Morgans. Janine Morrison. Peter Navin. Anne Nelson. Susan Nicholson. Aisha Nafal. Sharon Pebbody. Abida Pervez. Paul Pover. Tracy Pritchard. Sarah Pye. Jennifer Reeves. Adele Renison. Helwen Roberts. Pauline Roberts. Tony Rogers. Nicole Ryan. Gaynor Sampson. Elizabeth Sampson. Heidi Selkirk. Victoria Shackley. Elaine Shortridge. Ben Simcock. John Smith. Scott Smith. Rebecca Stapleton. Sue Starr. Julie Stockdale. Anne-Marie Stretton. Sarah Sutcliffe. Emma Thomas. Richard Thompson. Mark Tracy. Joanne Travis. Paul Trimble. Gabby Thwaites. Andrew Walford. James Walker. Rosita Worley. Catherine Hewell. Stephen Wilson. Carl Wolstenholme. Peter Wooldridge. Becky Woolley. Caroline Ragg. Janet Bailey. Angela Briggs. Kevin Connolly. Susan Cotton. Jane Delaney Roberts. Adam Draycott. Mark Gibson. Chloe Hopkinson. Lucy Le Provost. Patricia Mann. Melanie Maloney Umpleby. Anna Maria Prince. Hilary Sparks. Joan Tunnicliffe. Michelle Turner. Helen Walker. Alexandra Wells. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts with Honours, I present Nick Taylor. For a foundation degree, I present Lisa Adams. Sarish Ahmed. David Evans. Claire Fides. Ian Godfrey. Yvonne Hibbert. Christopher Hughes. Charlotte Moriarty. Anne-Marie Oddy. Jane Pickering. Nadia Shahira. Azad Yousaf. Kimberly French. And for the Diploma of Higher Education, I present Mary Louise Correll. Natalie Hudson. Andrea Jones. Peter Randall. And Jean Wilson.
Well, it's been an amazing event, actually, absolutely amazing. Thank you, everyone, for coming today to this really great occasion when we can celebrate the achievements of our new graduates. And behind every one of those hands I've shaken this afternoon is a story of hard work and determination, often overcoming self-doubt, setbacks, or just the sheer busyness of life that I know threatens to get in the way of a hunger to learn and to prove to yourself that you can do this. It's not easy being an OU student, often juggling study and deadlines with many other demands. I know that many of you have completed your studies while holding down demanding jobs. and looking after your families. Indeed, some of those with you today may well recognize the adage that there's only one thing harder than being an OU student, and that's actually living with one. We're all very proud of what you've accomplished. It's your achievements that make our university the great institution that it is, and you've heard a lot today, very, very inspirationally from Martin about that. We hope too that this is not the end of your journey with us. Do look at your memory stick, which you'll find in your ceremony tube, and we hope that that will lead you to wanting to be part of our community for the rest of your lives. Among the people that have supported you on your journey to this point are the university's tremendous staff, our advisors, academics who designed your course, student services staff, including those that have arranged this brilliant ceremony today, and of course our associate lecturers who've guided you through the whole OU experience. They've all had a stake in helping you to succeed. So this is the time for you, as graduates, to show your appreciation to all those staff, friends, and family who've helped you to get here to this ceremony today. Can we show our appreciation? Although I've only recently become a part of the Open University, I've always known and respected its unique place in British education. Many friends and colleagues are OU graduates. One of my colleagues, who started work at 16, got an Open University MBA in his early 30s, is now running the UK's gas network. And we hope he's doing a good job in keeping our heating well in these stretched times. My neighbour trained as a solicitor and then decided to study maths at the OU whilst looking after her young children. And as the former head of a British business school, I also know what it's like to compete against the OU. And so it was a huge privilege, and is a huge privilege, to be the Pro-Chancellor of this university. This is, as has been said, a really special institution. It's open to all, but with tough academic standards that you'd expect from any leading UK university. There's no doubt that your success owes a huge amount to the staff whose work we've just acknowledged, advising you, teaching you, assessing you, encouraging you, and of course, designing the brilliant courses that you've studied. It also owes a huge amount to the pioneers who created the Open University back in 1969. And foremost among those was Jenny Lee, to whom Harold Wilson gave the job of setting up the university, and a woman whose own journey from a Scottish mining community to Minister of State for the Arts left an indelible mark on what our Open University is today. In 1971, she said of our then brand new educational venture, "It is a complete fallacy to think of the Open University as working class, as a university for the middle class, or indeed a millionaire's university, although there are a few millionaires who could be improved by a course. It's simply something in the flow of our time, simply making the highest level of scholarship over the arts, science, and technology available to much larger numbers than ever in the past. Our university is blind to social class, gender, race, and postcode. The one essential entry requirement is a desire to learn. That's what unites us, not the qualification you came with, but the qualification you work so hard to leave with. You, our graduates, have achieved a level of scholarship Jenny Lee celebrated in her speech all those years ago, through the courage to know that that is possible. And your university is not just a leading teaching university, but it is a respected research university too. Our research enriches what our students are taught and takes them right to the leading edge of their subjects. For example, that's what motivated our scientists to send one of their instruments on the European Space Agency Rosetta mission to land on a comet 5 million miles from the Earth just a few months ago, searching for the answer to how water formed on our planet. Space research has become one of the OU's signature research areas, and I hope many of you had the chance to see on the 10 o'clock news Professor Monica Grady's reaction when that module finally landed on the comet. The university's head of space research literally jumped for joy at the amazing achievement of landing a tiny craft on a fragment of space debris, hurtling through space at an unbelievable speed. And that happened here in the Open University. Another area of research which has had enormous impact has been the research into the best ways to make distance learning work, an area which the Open University is literally the world leader. This research now provides the underpinning for major English teaching programs in Africa and South Asia. For instance, the program in Bangladesh to teach literally thousands of English teachers, and which is having an incredible impact in that country. So let me conclude by reflecting on the fact that much is said these days of fees and loans about the financial return of a university degree. It is significant in terms of future earnings, but much less is said about the social return. Graduates are, on average, healthier and happier than non-graduates, and contribute their new confidence and skills in many ways to society. Universities are about a common good as well as a private benefit. So by sitting here today, you have achieved something remarkable, and you've done it with the help of a remarkable institution, and those words have a familiar ring. The Open University is not like other universities, and you are not like other graduates. But now you have to prove it to the rest of the world. So go out there and show the people what the Open University graduates are really capable of in whatever you do and however you do it. Stay part of our community and remember those words on our university shield: learn and live. Thank you all very much indeed. So would all graduates please stand one last time, and may I ask all our guests assembled here again to express their warmest congratulations. Sit down. The proceedings of this degree ceremony have now been completed, and I declare that this meeting of congregation is closed. And can I ask you now again to stand up as we process out? Thank you all very much.